Just be happy. Why not? Just be happy. Don't stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are once again for the Happy Show. And I'm called Happy, H-A-P-I, heavenly anointed presence in me and in you. Also, before we get on the same vibration and same accord for 3 counts of 3 times, we're going to inhale God and exhale love. Whoa! How do you feel? Welcome to the Happy Show. And I am called Happy. And we have an extremely important special guest today. Actually, he's been on the phone here before, and he's doing a lot of interesting things. And he's going to give you the sacred feminine, Robert VALVERDE. Now, sit back, relax, and hold on to your hats. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Robert VALVERDE. Hey, how are you doing, Robert?
I'm doing very well. I'm happy to be back again. You heard that? Happy to be back again.
Oh, yes. Indeed.
You know that, you know?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. You're so a man of so many things that you got. You have these renaissances and revolutions. What is this so important about today? I'm so excited.
Well, today is... for me, it's so exciting because I want to talk about the ascent of the divine feminine.
Yes.
And I want to put that in perspective of darkness fighting darkness, as the politicians do. And I have a way to let the women know they don't need to fight the darkness. They can just be their divine feminine.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to start off with that, and then I'm going to read some excerpts from the book. I thought I could make this series into a series of lectures, but there's just too much.
I understand.
Too much detail.
I understand. But you're doing a movie also. That's going to come up a little later, maybe?
Well, the movie about...
yes, you can conclude it into the movie also as well?
we may.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm ready to get started here. Let's
me
give it
too.
on to them. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I really want to emphasize today is the aspects of the divine feminine.
Yes.
Number one, we know that the male ego had to suppress women in order to rule the earth. And systematically, that's exactly what we did. What the male ego did, took every opportunity to, well, let me use the word, dethrone the divine feminine. Now, the cost to the world and to humanity is not calculable. We are in the midst of wars and ways of living that are going to destroy the planet. So I address this comment to the feminine, the sacred feminine, to simply stand up and be that. Just as simple as saying, okay, I am the divine feminine. Now, what does that open up for you? Number one, as I mentioned earlier, it opens up for you a path without darkness where you can simply be the divine feminine that you are and bring light to the darkness. You do not need to fight with the male ego that is currently all over the news about the, how shall I say, the desecration of the divine feminine, the sexual assaults at the workplace, and all of these things. And I know some of you are going to court. Well, that's fine, if that's what you need to do. But please remember, there's an alternative to declare yourself as the divine feminine and begin to live every day out of kindness and search for the true divinity that you are as a human being. And I'm going to go into that in a little detail when I get into the manuscript for the book, A Worldwide Spiritual Renaissance for Youth.
Interesting. You know, when you say Renaissance, let's bring attention to what we have on the board here. A spiritual renaissance for the youth. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, good question, because when I first thought of the idea, I said, well, what about a spiritual revolution? And then I said, no, revolution has too much about war and violence.
So when you say Renaissance, what are you really thinking of?
So you know what I'm thinking of?
Yes.
I'm imagining in the Loire Valley in France, all the castles that are Renaissance castles, because the end of the castle fortresses came to an end because there was so much more peace.
Wow.
So I had this image, actually had this image of these beautiful castles in the Loire Valley, and I said, no, Renaissance, that's what it is.
Yes.
It's Renaissance.
Yes, yes.
You know?
And the spiritual renaissance is basically coming together for a conscious necessity, perhaps?
Yeah, I'll divert for a second. So
Yes.
the youth today are not nurtured for who they are. They are nurtured for all of the aspects that they are not. Where they were born, when they were born, the skin color, their sexual preference, their religion, where they were, college degree, drop out of high school. That is not who the youth are. The youth are divine beings, and all cultures, and I say this, all cultures in the world do not address the divinity of our youth, and that's where we sell them short. They drop out, they go to drugs, they go to all other kinds of things because we are not conscious enough as adults to nurture their divinity. So a major aspect of the spiritual renaissance is to open up our young people to the fact, you're not your name.
Yeah.
You're not your business.
Yes.
You sell shoes, that's not who you are.
Yes.
You are divine. So the whole program, actually for this book,
Yes.
is to awaken our youth to distance themselves from the current culture that is forced upon them, that does not allow them to express their divinity.
Wonderful. 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Robert Valverde, extremely special guest here today, and he's talking about you and the importance of our youth. Holding on to what they are being within themselves. Very, very important topic that can help you get starting and focusing in a direction away from all the shadow, I would say, and bringing your light as a youth to make a difference. Here we are, Robert Valverde. Give us a call, 415-573-5544 time. 45. Well, anyway, give us a call. Here's Robert Valverde, 415-573-5549. And then you'll be on time.
Okay,
Robert,
okay.
yes.
So now my young youth, my youthful, my treasures, I want to read to you the introduction to the book. I am thrilled to bring this book out to you young men and women. You are the universally unacknowledged treasures of the world whose divinity has been ignored for generations. My commitment to you is to reveal what is unknown and how it cripples you. This book reveals how to access your divine nature. It offers a path, a journey into a new lifestyle that will bring you profound joy beyond the promises of a happy or unhappy life. You'll have access to a deep understanding of how the world works, how you can live in clarity and purpose, and how you can grow in consciousness every single day. Essentially, my intention is to offer you an alternative way of living your life. My excitement for you lives in the expectation that many of you worldwide will discover your true nature, and you will be empowered to live from your divinity and live in an ever higher level of consciousness. Furthermore, my intention is that you will share your newly discovered divine self with everyone you meet. Who you truly are, in the question, who am I? Only you will be able to say. What others know of you is about you, not the being that is at the core of your existence. If you desire to undertake what is offered to you in this book, your life becomes a journey of discovery grounded in the joy of being. Part 1 will outline for you who you are not. Part 2 will introduce you to tested methods of human reflection that will assist you to reveal how to live in and from your divinity. And I might take a break just a second here to mention Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. What a treasure. It is a textbook for life. And if I could encourage you in any particular way, pick up that book and study it. It will profoundly impact your consciousness and the future I know you seek. Part 3 assists you in avoiding the unawareness that has held captive the many generations before you. You will find a pathway that will lead you into a spiritual renaissance where you will celebrate the joy of being, and clarity and purpose will guide your life. Now let me interrupt again here. I want to address the idea of parents and parenting. And I do this for 2 reasons. I do this for the parents who may happen to read this book, and I do it for you so you do not need to replicate how your parents brought you up. First of all, parents are unconscious, and that's not to blame. We're all unconscious to whatever degree. However, I urge you in all aspects of your life to love your parents. They are the source of your spirituality. If you hold a grudge against your mom, you lose 50% of your spiritual power. And that is true if you also hold a grudge against your dad. You're completely isolated from the gifts of them as your parents. The next thing is, so many parents go to what we call parenting classes. And for many of them, I find that they educate the parents as if they were teaching the parents to train animals. Now that's a pretty drastic thing to say. But when the parents are not truly guided to increase their love relationship, that is, get rid of their grudges, their upsets, they take out that torment on their children when children simply do what children do. And I'm sure you've heard of the fact, let the children be children. So when they're teenagers, they get to be teenagers. And when they're adults, they get to be adults, and they don't have to drag their damaged childhood into their adulthood. So you as future parents, and some of you I may be speaking to already have children, seek to love each other, husband and wife, partners and partners, and use that as the primary method of nurturing your children. I promise you, this is what I have done. When I first got married, I was not livable. I was angry, upset, and unconscious so much of the time until I discovered that this is how my parents brought me up. I'm not going to do that to my daughters. So my wife and I agreed to go on a search, and we did more than 4,000 hours of working on our love relationship. And I have to say, my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren are flourishing and prospering beyond anything I could imagine, simply because my wife and I did not focus on training our children like there's something wrong with them, but we focused on ourselves. And when we focused on ourselves, there's no place to go. We always look then into ourselves. Are we doing as much as we can do in the spiritual realm to nurture our children? So when you get to that adult married age, or even if you just live together and you have children, please take this to heart, and you will break the cultural cycle that so damages children. When our parents want to train us, they don't create a sanctuary in their home. They create a training arena where they let their upsets pour out on us as children, thinking, oh my God, my baby spilled the milk, slap her. My daughter doesn't keep a neat room, punish her. And the father who says that goes out to his garage that is stuffed with so much junk, he can't get his car in the garage. And I tell you, you young people, you know that inconsistency, and it damages your heart and soul. I know that for sure. So please take this to heart and have a look at how you want to be as parents for your children.
Wow, that was on time and very much needed. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, Robert VALVERDE is talking to the youth with them talking to themselves and making a creative change and a contribution to all of this because we need you. The world needs you. Sacred feminine, spiritual renaissance. Robert, tell me, spiritual renaissance, how, can you elaborate before we go? We have a few more minutes left on what we have here and how they can reach you as well.
Well, as it says here on the chart, on the bulletin, whatever you call it, you've got my phone number, you have my email address, and I developed this email address as the only address for the spiritual renaissance because I'd like to hear from you, I'd like to get your feedback, and so I don't want it cluttered up with a whole bunch of other emails.
And speaking of clutter, in case they can you recite the email again on air so they can hear it?
Oh yes, let me see if I can remember it. It's
Robert is so busy. He has so
letter
much.
B, I think it's letter B, I-N, clarity and purpose at gmail.com. B in clarity and purpose at gmail.com. Did I get it right, Happy?
You got it right. How about the phone number? You want me to kiss you?
Yeah. 415
yes.
497 3650. And please call me anytime. You can leave a note, a message on my phone, and I'll get back to you. But do not let this opportunity for your future slip by day by day.
Robert, you know, this is very much, in fact, I know you had a busy schedule going on, and let's see how much time we have there out there. We have a few more minutes. Yeah, listen, this is so exciting, extremely exciting. The Sacred Feminine, Spiritual Renaissance, the books that you've written that you didn't even talk about, you know, and it's on point. You know, I see a tremendous world change here. You know, I'm excited. Yes.
Yeah, well, you know, what really lit me up is when the youth all over the world are marching in protest against guns and gun violence. And I said, oh my goodness, if I can get a message out to them
Yes.
that there's an alternative.
Yes.
They don't have to fight darkness with darkness.
Yes.
They can come to their divinity, live out of their divinity, and I promise transform the world simply by being their divine selves.
Wow, there's no sympathy. We got about 7 minutes left. Now, this is a loaded question. I have a request from all my guests that comes on here, and everything is so distorted and shadowed away. I wouldn't say dark, it's going to keep a little hope in there. But what does it mean to be happy, or what happiness really means to you?
Well, I think I've said that before on this show, and I've really done a conversion about happiness, particularly out of my studying of Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I have come to experience that what we call happiness is conditioned on what happens, what we get. We're happy. Oh, that's wonderful. I got a new car. Oh, everybody's happy. I'm driving along and somebody runs into my brand new car and I'm unhappy. I'm taken to the hospital. I'm in the hospital. Oh, my friends come and say, oh, Robert, what a shame. You're in the hospital. You had a nice car, etc. And while I'm in the hospital, there's a great rainstorm. My house falls into the canyon. And if I were home, I would have been killed. So my friends come and say, hey, how happy you are, how lucky you are. You weren't home. You're in hospital. So I've gone to what actually Eckhart Tolle's words of being in the joy of being.
Yes.
Which I am, how should I say, announcing to our youth that that's the permanent kind of contentment that is available beyond who you think you are and beyond how our culture and our societies treat you.
Meaning the joy of being.
Yeah, enjoy the being of being.
Yes.
And so, you know, we all have a little darkness here and there, and sometimes we're tempted to use it, and our ego wants us to get in and use it, you know. But by celebrating and living out of our divinity,
yes,
we can so quickly identify the ego and say, no, sorry, I'm a divine being. My soul is part of God's soul, you know, born in the image and or created in the image and likeness of God? Simple. We have part of the divine creator's soul as our soul. Pretty neat, huh?
Oh,
Wouldn't you
yes.
say? Wouldn't you
Happiness,
say that's pretty
happiness
neat?
is being. Huh?
Absolutely.
Being. Wow, I've never heard of it that way. That makes a lot of sense. No one is so complicated because it's so simple.
Yeah, it's right. It's so complicated. It's so simple. Yeah.
Well, you know, thank you very much. I appreciate that once again.
Oh, my pleasure. Are we already out of time? That time went by so
That's
fast.
4 minutes. Now, because we, you know, in this 4 minutes, what I'm going to do, because I'm trying to respect for your time because you're so busy. Let's talk about this book in connection to that sacred feminine as well, because you were supposed to come back and talk about that. Is this a good time?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I bring up the sacred feminine simply because it's in our face. How many women who do not come forward have been molested at their workplace, and their self-esteem is diminished, their sense of their divinity is diminished by us males exercising our egos and thinking we have the right to treat women like lesser beings. So I'm bringing that up because of what's going on and inviting the sacred feminine, inviting the women to join with their divine feminine in the spiritual renaissance.
Yes.
And to hook up and to empower that. Now here's something I really want to say to you women. We're not fighting the darkness in this. Us males have lost our way. We have forgotten our divine masculine. We have abandoned the female part of who we are because we have so embraced our ego. So you women out there, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this because I'm not a woman, but I'm going to say it anyway. You have the opportunity to enliven the sacred feminine in the sacred masculine and bring us masculine human beings back to balance, appreciating our feminine side and our masculine side, and then we will have an earth we can all live on with great gratitude to the Creator.
You know, that's very interesting because it's been masculine and sacred and feminine. We just be a balance, the divine balance.
Absolutely.
That is so necessary for this day and time now.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the balance is actually longevity. I
Yeah.
would say.
And I have one more thing I just
Oh,
thought of
please.
today. I got a
just-
minute or two?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. When we go into the new divine era, Eckhart Tolle talks about this from the point of view of consciousness. And he uses consciousness as I use the word spirituality. Now you're going to love this. When we are in the new holy century, guess what? Elephant bulls will not fight each other. Elk and all kinds of deer and rams will not fight each other. The males fighting each other to get the females. Guess what's going to happen? They're not going to fight because human beings aren't fighting anymore. So the women are going to get together and say, well, what do you think about that elephant bull over there? Well, he's not quite mine. But the other woman says, yeah, I'd like him to be the father of my children. All right, and what about that ram over there? I don't know. Well, I kind of like him, but anybody else? Yeah, oh, you like him? So the women will be selecting who they want to be the father of their children. Isn't that great?
Yes,
Isn't that something to live into?
That's right. Go with the flow. And let's
Be happy. Why not? Just be happy. Don't stop.